Greetings, Fright fans, and welcome to day 25 of our Halloween countdown here, counting down the shock package of Universal films where they showed all those classics on television back in the 1950s. Fun stuff. Yesterday we looked at The Invisible Man. Nice little pun there. Tonight we're going to take a look at something else. Let's shake it up here. Remember that song by Queen? It's The Invisible Man. Oh yeah, good stuff. All right, let's see here. Well, shoot, I can't get it open. Tonight, we're going to take a look at one of my very favorite Universal films and one of the most classic films of all time, The Wolfman. Lawrence Talbot, played by Lon Chaney Jr., returns to his family home after being away for 18 years in America. Larry has returned to patch things up with his father, played by Claude Rains, after his brother was killed in a hunting accident. He meets a woman named Gwen Conliffe, played by Evelyn Ankers, whose family owns a local antique shop. He convinces her to go out with him that evening to visit a band of traveling gypsies and have their fortunes told. Gwen's friend Jenny goes with them and is attacked and killed by a wolf. Larry tries to fight it off and in the process is bitten. But it turns out it was no ordinary wolf. It was a werewolf. As foretold in gypsy lore, whosoever is bitten by a werewolf and lives becomes a wolf. Larry is cursed to become a monster and seek human victims under the full moon. This is possibly my favorite Universal monster picture. The werewolf makeup, designed by the great Jack Pierce, is still the greatest werewolf makeup ever put on screen. Perhaps the time-lapse effects seem dated by today's standards, but the design itself is flawless. The music by Hans J. Salter is iconic and would be reused time and again by Universal in future horror pictures. The film has a fairy tale-like quality about it, and Chaney is perfect in the role of Lawrence Talbot, bringing a real sense of tragedy to the part. The chemistry between Chaney and Evelyn Ankers is electric and undeniable, so much so that Universal would cast them together time and again going forward. Bela Lugosi appears in this one briefly as Bela the Gypsy, who transforms into the wolf that bites Larry. Maria the Gypsy, who tells Lawrence about his curse, is played by Maria Usmanskaya. The only flaw in this film is the Wolfman's clothing, which mysteriously changes every time he goes through a transformation. But it's a minor gripe. It doesn't get much better than the Wolfman. Man, this is a howling good time right here at the Wolfman. It just doesn't get any better than the Wolfman. Absolute classic. Lon Chaney Jr. and Evelyn Ankers. Apparently the two didn't get along in real life, or so I've been told, but their chemistry on screen is undeniable, so much so that Universal would keep putting them in films together time and again and again and again. Lawrence Talbot showed up time and again in sequels because Chaney did such a great job, you know, bringing that sympathetic feel to the character. He's great in that, channeling a little bit of that Lenny from Of Mice and Men with his "you don't understand." He says that so many times in the series. I think in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, he says it 3 or 4 times alone. And of course he says it in The Wolfman. So The Wolfman, I'm gonna of course give a solid 5 skulls to. It's a classic, perfect movie, other than the changing of the clothes. When the transformation happens, Wolfman's clothes change too. Yeah, it's hard to believe he would get up and change his clothes and before he goes out, but he's a well-dressed wolf. But you know, that makeup was so extensive that you can't fault him for wanting to do as little of makeup as possible. You know, covering his whole body, his whole arms in fur would have been too much. I would knock it down a half skull for that, but I knock it back up a half skull for the design of the Wolfman himself. Absolutely, as I said, the greatest design of a werewolf. Now I prefer my werewolves to be 2-legged. I like them to be a wolf man. The 4-legged variety, you know, the greatest transformation scene of all time is probably an American Werewolf in London. Hands down, it's Rick Baker's work in that is amazing. But the design of the wolf, I don't like so much as opposed to this. This is the way a werewolf should look. So good stuff right here. Hands down, 5 skull movie. I love it. Let me know what you guys think about the Wolfman and Lawrence Talbot, and keep howling at the moon, man. We've only got a few more days here till Halloween, so stay tuned, stay mad. I'll see you tomorrow night.